هلا يا هلا يا هلا يا هلا يا هلا يا
Please do not message or call, as the following programme is a rerun of a previous live show. Any announcements made during the repeat may now not be applicable.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. You're tuning into Sister Speak. You're here with me, Mariam, and Amina, when she gets
and
to
me, Amina.
And today we'll be discussing celebrity culture. But before we do that, Amina, can you tell us what our show is about?
Yep. Sorry, I was just helping Mariam. It's her first time hosting today.
It's my first time hosting, everyone, so please bear with me. I'm usually on the presenter's side, so that will actually relate to my thought of the week, which we'll be discussing in a few.
Yeah, so if we can all root for Mariam, it's her first time. I think she's going to do amazing, but she's a bit nervous. So our show is a platform for Muslim girls to voice their own opinions on current events and issues, and even form discussions on general topics such as religion, culture, politics, social media, Islamophobia, etc. Please note all opinions and views are our own, and we respect all opposing similar views and opinions.
Thank you, Amina. So we're going to dive into our show. We're going to discuss our thoughts of the week. So the thought of the week is something that we've been thinking about, something beneficial, something that's impacted us, and we just share it with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So Amina, what's your thought of the week?
Well, my thought of the week is kind of tying in with our hot topic. We've got two hot topics today. One of them is to do with self-care, but mine is like on the side of self-care and more so like getting to understand yourself. Like I feel like in order to help others, we need to help ourselves first, and that's like getting to know what works for you, like what is something that may upset you, what can just like things. This relates to like food and like your mental health as well. So like situations that are helpful to you, situations that you like or that you might want to avoid. And I feel like all of this ties in with how you treat yourself and how you treat others, and definitely your diet as well. Like it's not something I usually care about.
Oranges.
I know, I always go on about it on the show, but that's because I want to be more health conscious.
And guys, she's actually wearing a yellow shirt, so she's very healthy. She even thinks in a very positive way.
If you want to think of it like that, coming from an English literature student, that's how she thinks. But yeah, like if you're not eating well, then you won't function well. Like for example, I have iron deficiency, so like if you're not up to date with, if you're not topping up on your iron, that sounds a bit weird, but like if you're not taking care of yourself and your needs, then you're not going to function properly. Like one of the symptoms of iron deficiency is actually like low moods, and I feel like I've experienced that, and I'm like, okay, it's really easy to kind of not relax, but just
neglect,
let yourself go and just go with the flow with the low mood, and just be like, well, this is how I am now. I can't do anything about it. Because sometimes you feel like that. I think that we feel quite hopeless when we have a low mood. Like, well, I can't do anything. I feel hopeless. There's nothing I can do. But I think sometimes you have one day where you think just for a second in your head, like, I need to do something. Like, take that small thought and just run with it and be like, okay, I need to do something, so I'm going to do it now. It's tiny things, like say you've been feeling down for a while, and so you've neglected like your room and you haven't cleaned up for a while, so just open your windows and just clean your room. It's that simple. Or if your room is already clean, just like go wash your face. Like, I feel like you just need to feel as if you got a fresh start. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Or like take your iron tablets, or
I feel like it's so easy to neglect.
Or fill up your water bottle and start drinking water if you've neglected that for a while.
If you make something part of a routine, it becomes like natural. So the more you do it, it takes 40 days to develop a habit. So imagine doing something every morning, like brushing your teeth. You do that automatically. So filling up your water bottle and making sure you hydrated throughout the day, that's a simple thing to do.
That is a great comment by Zara. Just come in after ages, by the way.
Yeah,
So that was
welcome
Zara.
back to Inspire us to speak. So we're just discussing our thought of the week. So Zara, adding on to that.
I think I'm done with my thought of the week. But
Zara?
Yeah.
welcome back, Zara.
Thank you. Jazakallah khair. I mean, haven't been here in ages, and
How's life?
yeah, I've been really stressed with A levels. Like everything is just, all my time is consumed with just this one thing, and it's quite daunting to know that I've literally got less than 10 weeks left until my exams, and I feel like but there's been so much building up to it that once it's over, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Like I'm not sure what there is to do. Like I'm thinking everyone's making plans for the summer. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. Like I'm not going to have to study, I'm not going to have to go in, and it's going to be such a big change. I mean, literally when I wake up in the morning, my first thought is, oh my gosh, I've got so much work to do. And before I go to bed, I'm thinking about how much work I've got to do. So I guess linking into what your thought of the week is to do with self-care, thinking about things like that isn't good right before you go to sleep, because it tends to be the thing that you think about when you wake up as well. And stressing yourself out right before you go to sleep means you won't have decent sleep, and it will be restless sleep, because you're constantly your body's still trying to think about this thing that you're stressed about. So before I go to sleep recently, for the past 2 weeks, I listen to white noise because it kind of clears my mind, and then I can sleep. I was listening to the broadcast literally as we drove up, and I was just thinking, my thought of the week is there aren't enough hours of the day to be wasting one.
That's
Wow,
so true.
that's very profound.
Yeah, because every second I'm like, okay, in this moment, what could I be doing, and what am I actually doing? And there's so many hours where I sit there, I could literally be watching Netflix, but I'm staring at the screen, nothing's going into my brain because I'm so worn down. In that moment I could be resting, but instead I'm forcing myself to do something.
That's true. That's actually quite a profound point, because as you said, we can use every single hour effectively, but sometimes you do need to rest, and sometimes that is the most efficient thing to do.
Yeah.
Because instead of forcing yourself to watch Netflix or watch TV, you can actually just de-stress by walking outside, getting fresh air, because that's mentally going to help you, and it's going to physically help you as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I think my thought of the week is relating to that. My thought of the week is something that I feel is really important for me personally, is kind of breaking out of your comfort zone. So as Amina said at the beginning of the show, I actually do not host. This is my first time hosting the show. And it's because I became really comfortable with presenting. I'm very confident in that. Whereas when I first started this process, I was really nervous. I couldn't speak on the mic, and it took me a while to become comfortable in expressing myself. So I decided that it's time to take the next step and try to host the show. And it makes you think that's like right now, before I even started this, I felt very, very nervous. But now I'm just feeling quite a lot of ease. So that shows that, you don't know what you're going to feel unless you try. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we assess the situation way too much before we even do something. And so, of course, that does help us to kind of measure whether there is a lot of risk. But at the same time, sometimes we over-exaggerate in our minds, and it overcooks, and that sometimes can become a barrier in doing something that you really might enjoy. So
I guess it's really easy to panic before you've experienced something.
Yeah.
And generally when you go in with that mindset, you're not confident, you're not sure of what's going to happen, you're quite uneasy. It's easy to mess it up more, if that makes sense. When you go into something nervous, you tend to make more mistakes. Whereas if you tell yourself, okay, whatever happens, whatever the outcome is, I did my best, and I know that I went into it with a calm mind, and I come out of it, whatever happened is Allah's qadr, then you'll feel better about it, and it tends to go a lot better than if you go in nervous.
I feel like that saying fake it till you make it is such, I think that's my life. I think I just fake it until I actually make it, because if you set yourself up to think that I can't do it, then you won't be able to do it, because you're already mentally telling yourself, actually, I'm not going to be able to cope with the situation. Whereas if you tell yourself, actually, I have the mechanisms to handle the situation, I'm going to put this in place, I'm going to put that in place, and I have a supporting network, and ultimately have faith in God, then not much can go wrong, because whatever's going to happen, as you said, is the qadr of Allah.
Yeah.
And I feel that it's really important to tell yourself. I think people might think it's a bit crazy, but personally for me, sometimes you need to have conversations with yourself your mental, because the way you think is that mental communication with yourself. So the way you have that framework that you have to kind of assess, actually, how am I acting according to my thoughts? Is my thoughts always negative? And how am I acting in my life? And how am I receiving a situation? Because the way you respond to a situation ultimately directs the situation in like out of the outcome. It's not what the situation is, it's how you respond to it. It's that, I don't know if you guys heard of it, 80%, 20%. I don't know what that phrase is, but it's 80% is a situation that you can't control, but 20% is it how you respond. Or it could be the other way around.
I feel like it's the other way around.
I think it could be the other way around. Yeah, I think it makes more
so
sense.
20% of you can't control and 80% is how you respond to it. Because if you think about every
That's
situation
true.
in life, whatever happens, it has happened. You can't do anything to change it, but how you respond to it will affect what happens further.
Yeah.
And I definitely believe in the fake it till you make it, because if you're someone who's really stressed or you're really depressed, you wake up every day and you tell yourself, I'm happy, you smile, the way you feel changes. It's not, if you say, oh yeah, I'm so happy, you can't feel sad and say that with a smile. It doesn't work. So faking it till you make it, I genuinely I believe in that. That is my mantra.
I definitely, I used that for university, to be honest, because that was a new experience for me. Like, I went to university, nobody knew me, and I literally faked it. I faked being confident. I faked so many things, like, but nobody knew that I was a timid girl that didn't like speaking. I mean, I'm on a radio show now. I didn't like speaking. I didn't like putting myself forward. I had a study needs agreement that I did not want people to ask me questions because I was way too nervous for people to interact with me. But I faked it. I faked it that, okay, I'm a confident girl. I can speak and have conversations. And now my lecturers actually know me for that I'm very like expressive. So, you know, if you're sitting out there and you're listening and you think that you really want to do something and you have these mental thoughts thinking that, you know, I can't do this thing and I have these barriers, the fact that you thought of that you want to do it shows that you have the capacity anyways. So just go do it. Just fake it till you make it. And that will, if you never know until you try.
You will never want something that you're not able to achieve. Like, you will never think, oh, I want that, unless you know it's a possibility of you getting it. Whether the possibility is really small or really big. So no matter what, you should try.
Heading on from that, sometimes it's easy to burn up because you're constantly doing things. Imagine just constantly faking it till you make it. It's a positive thing. But what about the self-care that comes into it? And that is our hot topics for today. We'll be discussing what does self-care mean and how can we implement that in our life, incorporate that. So, Zara, what do you define self-care as?
For me, self-care is feeling like you have done right by your body, by what Allah has given you, by your life. So how you wake up in the morning and what's the first thing you do, what you do in the shower, what you do before you go to bed, all these things. Like, people have daily routines, nightly routines where they do something and it might make them feel good, but another person might only have one thing they do before they go to bed, and it's the same for both people. So for one person, I think you can overcare for yourself as well. You can overdo it. So for example, using too many face masks on your face in one day will actually make you break out further. So you should do everything moderately, but it's what makes you feel like I've taken care of myself and you don't feel grimy. So someone who hasn't showered in 4 days, they aren't going to feel clean. So the way they go about their day, the way that they do things, they're going to carry themselves that way, because subconsciously you don't realize that how you care for yourself is affecting what you're doing in your everyday life. So if you're a clean person, you know, for a man, cleanly shaven, for a girl, your hijab looks nice, your makeup looks nice, you're dressed well, you're going to carry yourself a different way to someone who's wearing a bin bag. Like, there's something about you. You're more confident. You walk different. You talk different. You interact with people differently. So I feel like self-care is really important because it affects how every single thing in your life then happens afterwards.
Amina?
Yeah, I totally agree with what she's saying. And also, that's like your physical self-care, like that's so important, because like you said, like you have nightly routines, and I feel like in the last few months I've kind of forced myself to do it. Like you said earlier when you just came in, that if you do something consistently for 40 days, then it just becomes a habit. And I can say that that's true, because like there were some points where you feel low, so you think, you know what, I'm just not in the mood, I don't want to do it, I can't even, because sometimes you do feel like that, you feel like you're in such a bad mood that you can't even, I don't know, like put a face cream on before bed. But when you feel like that, I think that's the most important time for you to do that routine. Like, it's so easy when you're in a good mood and when things are going well for you to just do all your chores, do your like self-care routines and
You
stuff.
might even go out of your way and do more.
Exactly. But when you're in a bad mood, I feel like that's when it's the most important, because then you can tell yourself, okay, at least I've done this. Like, if you're so tired and you're so stressed, like say you've got exams, for example, like we're all studying, right? So we might feel like, oh my God, I've done so much today. I'm so tired. I just want to knock out. I don't even want to do anything before bed. But like you said, you don't want to be... The last thing that you think about before you go to sleep isn't your stress. So you want to de-stress before you go to bed, or you want to de-stress when you wake up in the morning. So like force yourself to do whatever your routine is, whether that is simply to wash your face or to do like a whole skincare routine. Whatever it is, make sure you do it every single day. But I also wanted to add, like, on top of like your physical self-care, like with your body and stuff, I feel like it's important to take care of your mind. Like you said, you don't want to overdo it because I can relate to you, like I'm naturally a timid person as well, but I've done the whole like pretend I'm confident and then everyone else thinks I am, but that can get tiring, right? Like you after like a day at uni, like a couple of days where you've been acting confident, and it's nice, but afterwards you feel a bit like exhausted from it. So you need to make sure you give yourself a day off. Like if you've been socializing too much, like some people are extroverts and they thrive on socializing, but if you're like an introverted person and you're naturally quite, you know, shy, then make sure you don't force yourself to do too much. Obviously push your limits and try to achieve your goals, but give yourself a break too. Like everyone needs a break. So if you've been out for like however many days it takes for you to get exhausted, say for example you've been at uni 4 days in a row and you've just been like at it with the confidence, like the day that you're free, just stay at home and I don't know, have some alone time, because you need to recalibrate.
Do what makes you feel like you're resting.
Exactly.
So if you're a person who, for you to rest is go out with a friend and have a Costa,
then go out with your friend,
drink. Like
I have a question.
Drink.
I have a comment from someone. Thank you, Humain, for sending us a comment. He's asked, how do I come out of a bad mood when things are going down and I feel like I can't achieve it? For example, securing a new job. How does a person bring themselves out those negative thoughts? And sometimes it is easy to feel inadequate when you want to achieve something and you're unable to. What would you guys say to those people?
Maybe try to distract yourself from what is stressing you out. Obviously that's something that is always going to be there, like you want to get a new job, so that is something you still have to achieve, but don't make it something that you're thinking about all the time. Like maybe have someone close to you that you can talk to about it and ask them, like, I just need a distraction, let's go do something. Like for example, my mum, she noticed I wasn't like feeling too good, so she was like, you need to do something, let's go for a walk, why don't you bake something? Like try to, like we said before, try to force yourself to do something to take care of yourself instead of thinking about that thing, because then you can take a little break and then go back to it with a fresh mind. It's kind of like you're recharging yourself.
I also think that is reframing the way you are responding to that situation. So for example, if you're unable to achieve for example, if you want to get a specific job and you're persistently trying to achieve that job but you're not getting anywhere, try to rethink that maybe Allah wants you to take 99 steps before you take the 100, because your legs will become stronger to have that capacity to handle the 100th step. Or think about, I always think God's planning is the best, and He always also promises that. Like, for example, in my situation, I really banged on about this last year. But when I wanted placement, there was one particular job I really, really wanted. I prayed day and night for this, and I thought that was the best thing for me. I thought this will help me in terms of my dreams, my career. I felt everything was riding on that one job, but I didn't receive it, and that really shattered me. But But then a few months later, I applied for a job that I didn't really want, and it was the most hardest job that you could do, and it's something that I really did not feel interested in. But now, alhamdulillah, I'm in that job, and it's the best thing. It's absolutely the best thing. I'm able to pray in that. Because of the flexibility, I'm able to pray. I'm able to do a radio show. If I was in that job that I initially thought that would be amazing for me, I would not have that scope. So just know that Allah's planned something better for you, and He wants you to keep going to Him. He loves it when you go to Him, and ask Him to guide you along the way. But just have faith, because your qadr is written. It's written. Everything that you're supposed to get, you will get it. It's just having that perseverance, having that faith, and believe in yourself. You know, if you don't receive the first job, you'll get the second. If you don't get the second job, you'll get the third. If you don't get the third job, you'll get there eventually, because you're taking the steps forward. If you don't take steps forward, how are you going to go to your destination? If you stop in one place, if you give up, then you're already lost. You're at that same position that you already were. So I think it's really important to kind of tell yourself that actually I've come this far and I will keep going. And again, that would relate to our self-care, because look after yourself as well. You know, you have sometimes. I think it's important to remind yourself, actually, I've achieved this, and this, and I'm actually an adequate person. I am actually capable, and it's not about being arrogant. And it's not about thinking you're like better than, superior than anyone else. It's about appreciating that, you know, Allah's giving me that capacity to do something, and I'm going to do more. What do you think, Zara?
I think that what his comment definitely links back to the self-care that we were talking about, because he's saying about how, what should you do if you're in a really bad mood and you feel like you just can't achieve it? Thinking that way is what's going to make you feel like every time you fail, it's another failure rather than it's a stepping stone to where you need to go. So maybe you might not get the first one or the second one or the 10th one, but by the 10th time, if you're feeling like, oh, I can't do this, that's going to affect you further on. So every time after that, you aren't going to get it, because you're going to go into the interview thinking, I'm not going to get this one because I didn't get the last 50. So it's all about your mindset. And when you go to bed, think tomorrow's a new day. I don't know what's going to happen. Not, oh, tomorrow's another day, I'm going to get turned down. And like we said, do things that make you feel good. So if you think, oh, you know what, I really want to go for a walk with my friends, go for a walk, and maybe talk about it then. Maybe talk about, okay, you know what, I'm going through this, because other people can shed light on something that you can't see. So maybe you might be applying for one job and you're really trying, but they're like, why are you doing that when you're really good at this? Like, it doesn't make sense for you to be doing something that you are mediocre at when we know you could like be really good at something else. So I feel like definitely get other people's opinion, people who are close to you, because this kind of links back to ages ago when we were talking about like marriages, and we said that people tend to think, oh, my parents are getting too involved, but family can see things that you can't see.
Definitely.
And they know things about you that you don't even know about yourself. So outside opinion, and also try and do things in your day that make you feel better about, like, as make it part of your routine to do something that makes you feel better about yourself. For example, if I put lemon in my water, I go around the whole day thinking I'm really healthy and I'm like amazing. So something small like that will make me smile all day, because I'm like, yeah, I've done something today.
Yeah, that's so true.
Or orange.
It's the little things, really. Like, just make sure you're not always thinking about one thing, especially if that one thing is stressing you out. Like, have something small in your day that will make things better for you. Also, if you want to get involved in our discussion, you can text or WhatsApp in on 07779 481822. You could call on 01582 481822, or you can comment under our Facebook Live. You can watch us there. So yeah, make sure you get involved in our discussion.
We have 1 minute, isn't it?
Yeah, so
We're about to go for our break.
when is our break? I think we have like 2 minutes left.
It will come up.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, then I think
Should
we
I
just-
quickly do the next hot topic, or should we?
should we just quickly, briefly talk about our next hot topic? So our next hot topic, Amina, is
Yeah, so I don't know if everyone is aware, but some of you may be aware that London Fashion Week was last week. I'm not too sure, but there was some controversy on the runway that I wanted to quickly mention. There was a well-known British designer who showcased a hoodie that had a noose
As
hanging
the drawstrings.
as the drawstrings. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did.
And I just thought, well, I'm going to read from the BBC article.
Got
1
60
second.
seconds.
Oh, we got 60 seconds. Okay.
Just talk about it.
Well, we can't talk about it after the break. So I just wanted to say that, I don't know, I think designers need to be a bit more aware of what they're doing, because you can't make fashion out of depression or suicide. It's not something that is trendy, and it's really
Also,
bad
it's
for
not
the
like-
younger
yeah.
generation. It's not something that should be
Glamorized.
admired or glamorized. So I think
Even underrated.
exactly. So yeah, I just thought it was important.
And that
Everyone
kind of
to
leads
know.
on, we should be mindful as people that buy these things.
Exactly.
Where is it coming from, and does it affect?
Does it represent something that we shouldn't be?
Yeah, and when
Yeah,
you have such a
engaging with.
big platform, you should be aware of what kind of message you're sending out. So that's what I wanted to get from that. But yeah, we're going on our break in a few seconds, and we will be talking about celebrity culture after the break. Thank you for tuning in. Assalamu alaikum.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome back to Sister Speak. Before the break, we were just discussing our hot topics on self-care and briefly about the designer. But now we're going to dive into the main topic of our show, which is celebrity culture. So my first question for both of you is, how invested are you in celebrity news and gossip? Are you guys into that? Is that something that you follow on?
Not really. I mean,
I would say not intentionally.
yeah, it would be by
That's
accident.
interesting. So why do you guys think it's unintentional? Because we receive a lot of data, or
I
Do you-
think because it's everywhere. It's like it's hard not to see something if you're on any platform of social media. There's stuff everywhere.
Even on Snapchat, there's
you have like the
celebrity
stories,
gossip news.
and they have so many different platforms to be talking about celebrities. It's hard. I mean, before it used to just be on TV. Like you go to a certain TV channel and then it'd be all about celebrities. Now it's everywhere on everything. So I feel like it's difficult to not find out stuff.
do you think that's a bad thing or a good thing?
I think it's a really bad thing. I think it's given more companies and like journalists and people like that a platform to scope into other people's lives
And
and
spew out just rubbish news. Like, it's not something that needs to be breaking news or like the headlines, but I feel like that's what tabloids are about anyway.
Yeah, but I feel like it's on such a bigger platform now, so more people are delving into what can I find that no one else has found out yet.
Do you think that our priorities of knowing what's happening around the world is like a bit muggy because it's so easy to access celebrity news as opposed to knowing what's happening in a country that is perhaps facing major issues? Do you think it's harder to shift your focus to that, or do you think because it's so readily available, that celebrity culture, that we're more inclined to do that, or do you think our interest goes towards like problems that's happening around the world?
I think because, like you said, it's so available, this information about other people's lives. I don't even look for I'm not on social media, but I still know more about what's going on in other people's lives, like celebrities' lives, than I do about what's going on around the world. And that's by if I'm sat at school and then I hear other people talking about it. That's not even me going out of my way to find out. So I think there are definite issues about where our priorities lie, and how someone drank in a certain place isn't as important as children dying in certain countries.
What do you think, Amina?
Yeah, I think it's not something you can avoid. Like, even if you have absolutely no social media, it is something that your friends might talk about, or even it might even be like a running joke, I guess, because these things are kind of like, certain celebrity news is really trending and then it becomes like, it turns into memes and stuff. And I guess I would say that on the other hand, it is just a distraction for people. I don't think that it's although I don't think we need to know what famous people are doing every hour of the day. I do think for some people it's like a distraction from their own lives or of whatever is going on in the world. Like, someone might argue that it's just a bit of fun, like to read.
It's almost like it's a newspaper culture. We're just reading it for time pass.
Yeah, like certain magazines or whatever. It's just fun to know what these kind of people are doing because they lead such lavish lives.
We've got a comment from someone. They haven't left their names, but thank you for commenting. They've asked, do you think that celebrity culture is everywhere and it's so hard not to miss that to the extent that younger generations are more influenced by celebrities than anything else, and that they follow celebrity culture more than anything else? What would you suggest or advise to help them move away from it? Open to you guys.
I definitely think that celebrities influence younger people. I mean, we look at it and think, okay, that's really stupid. We don't need to know that. That's information that's quite useless. But someone much younger, that's what they're now going to aspire to be like. That's now what they're going to aspire to do. So I feel like the way that it's projected and the way that it's made to look as a good, sometimes it's made to look as a good thing, sometimes it's made to look as a bad thing. But most times things like clothes, money, jewelry, accessories, things like that are made to look like they're realistic. Like having that amount of money, having that sort of lifestyle is realistic, and it's setting unrealistic expectations for younger people. And they think, okay, why can't my parents give me this type of lifestyle when it's not a normal thing? Like, it's this person's 1 in a million, but we look at them like they should be everywhere.
Yeah, I feel like that is the issue with having that celebrity lifestyles shoved in our face every single day, because it sets really, really unrealistic boundaries, I guess, for how we should lead our everyday lives. And I think for younger people, maybe even teens or people of our own age, it's easy for anyone, to be honest, to get dragged into this whole world of celebrity culture. I forgot where I was going with this.
I want to ask you guys a question, if you can't remember your thought.
Yeah.
How does Muslim celebrities or Muslim influence impact our younger generation? Because as the commenter said, that the young generation is very invested in that, and whatever transcends from what our influencers are speaking or going or doing something, the young generation are going to adopt that. So what repercussions do we have, and do you guys think there are negative there's never negative impacts of having Muslim influences?
It depends what kind of influencer you're talking about, because I feel like that's really broad.
In terms of in terms of having this image that everything's perfect. So for example, sometimes people idolize marriage in seeing a Muslim couple, and they don't see there's actually a different reality to what you're displaying on social media. No, it's more than just going on holidays. There's a lot of hardship in marriage, and young generation, for example, 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds, and teenagers in general, they are looking at this perfect image on social media, and they aspire to be like that. Do you think there's negative impacts of that? And how do we have that responsibility in kind of showing that reality?
I think no matter what your background is no matter what background a certain celebrity or influencer has, I don't think it's a good thing in the bigger picture, because regardless of whether you have good intentions, so there might be like a Muslim couple on YouTube, for example, like they might have good intentions and it might be fun to watch them, but I think young people, and we all get so invested in their lives and what they're posting, and they're not really gonna show the negative parts, because no one wants to do that. But the thing is, not everyone is gonna realize that they do have hardships. They're just gonna see like, oh my gosh, they're having so much fun, they love each other so much, or this certain celebrity, they, like you said earlier, like it sets standards that are so unrealistic. Like I think seeing, this is the point I was going to make before, seeing this all the time, it gets quite cloudy in your head of what you want your goal to be. Like as a young person, if you see these celebrities all the time, you might be confused, like, am I is my goal to have these huge cars and have a massive house and all this money, or do I want to do something? Not that having that much money is a bad thing, right? But
aspiring for just that, like
the way to get it, exactly,
not having any aspirations, not having any game plan. It's just in the end game, I want all this money. I don't care how I get it. Yeah, it's that type of mindset that's going around.
Yeah, but do you think, on the backhand of it, do you think it's completely fair to put the responsibility completely on Muslim influencers? Because, as you said, their intention might be just to have a little bit of fun. Is it fair to displace that social responsibility that my children are watching you and therefore you should behave a certain way?
I think there are reasons why things, for example, between a husband and wife should be kept secret, like should be kept behind doors. What happens inside your house stays inside. What happens between you and your husband stays there. You shouldn't take it outside. And there's a reason for that, which is that other people are never going to understand. And this happens in every relationship. How many people have been in a friendship or in a relationship or in some sort of a type of relationship with someone where when you've gone to try and explain it to someone else because you've had an argument or something, you can't explain the dynamics, and they might give advice, but you sit there thinking, okay, you don't understand what our relationship's like, because that's what it is. So for example, a married couple, the wife might vent on social media, oh, my husband does this, blah, 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 blah. But behind closed doors, there's something else that goes on as well, and she loves that about him. But when everyone sees something bad, or the opposite, everyone sees something good and they don't know the bad, they might not understand why something happens later, and then there's backlash through that. So projecting your life through social media, I don't agree with generally, which is why I don't post on social media, because I feel like there are so many things that people might look at and see one aspect of it. They don't know what's going on, which is why, for example, celebrities, non-Muslim ones or Muslim ones, they go through things in life and we only see one aspect of it. We don't see everything that goes on. So you might sit there and say, oh, that's really unfair, she's got loads of money. Or the opposite, oh, she worked really hard to get there, but you don't know what else happened or how she got there. Or you see some celebrities did one thing to get famous and you think, oh, that's so bad, but you don't understand what else happened or what the situation was and everything. I feel like we prejudge so quickly. You don't know that person's life. You don't know what they've gone through. You don't know what they've been through. You still don't know what they're going through. And you're sat there thinking, oh, she's a bad person, he's a bad person, they're a good person, they're amazing, they're such a good couple, but behind closed doors they could argue every second. They just don't choose to show that.
Yeah, or it could be like the other way around. Yeah, like you think this certain celebrity, like big actress or actor or singer or whatever, like, oh my god, they're amazing, I want to be just like them. I think there's a problem there when you idolize celebrities, because whether you realize it or not, or whether you see that in them, I guess it's hard to see when they're always so glamorous. And I think we were going to get to the point where because in the last few weeks there have been like annual award shows like the Oscars and stuff. I think that's even harder to see these people as just people, because they're wearing like beautiful dresses and like diamonds and stuff. And I think that makes it confusing to see how they actually got there, because for example with actors, they've had to struggle a lot to get where they are, but what all we see is this person living the best life, right? They get to wear all these amazing clothes, they have all this money, blah blah blah, but that's all we see. So I think for younger people it's hard they get confused, like they think I want to have that, but then they don't really. No one
comes with it.
Yeah, yes, they're not told what it takes to get there.
That relates to one of the comments. We've got that influencers know the consequences and what they're getting into. Surely, if they're putting their lives out there, they should take responsibility.
I think that is fair enough. If you think, like we said, you shouldn't post your life like that for a reason. But if you then choose to, I feel like you should expect there are going to be backlashes. There are going to be good things and bad things that come with everything. So if you decide that you're going to post your entire life on social media, you have to understand that you're now a role model for someone is looking up to you. So if you condemn something or you say something's good or bad, now someone else might make her life change because of you. I feel like there's such a big, before it used to, like I said, before it just used to be TV. You watch celebrities on TV and it was people who had money. Now there are YouTubers who make money from people watching them. Like they sit there and make videos and people watch them and make money. Or Instagrammers who literally just post them going to the gym. That's it. That's all they do. They go to the gym, they do their workout, they record it and post it. And millions of people sit there scrolling, watching it, and then changing their lifestyle due to this. So now imagine, say, a fitness inspiration. She did a move that did something that damaged her physically, and she never made it, like, she never told anyone. The millions of her followers now do the same thing and then become injured. You have to remember that you're a role model for people. So if you're going to say, okay, yeah, do this, don't do this, you have to remember that what happens to the people who do those things is also your responsibility. That's on your hands.
I want to add, though, like, I think there's nothing wrong with posting so much on social media as long as you are aware of what you're doing. Like, some of us choose not to, which is totally fine. But if you do, I think we all need to be aware of, like, of the reality of social media. Like, these, even like you said, there's certain Instagrammers and YouTubers that, for us, we think that they're just sitting down in front of a camera and having fun. But I guess there's a lot of planning that goes behind that, and I think you have to have a business mindset to be able to make so much money out of it too. Like, but that's kind of the I think there's a good and a bad thing about these kind of occupations, I guess, because on one hand, this person is, I would say they are doing hard work, because nothing is easy. It's that kind of money doesn't come in easily. Like, to gain that big of a following is that it's actually, like, hard work. But the fact that you're displaying a lavish lifestyle to so many people, I feel like is also an issue. And so many of those people are really young. Like, whether you're an influencer or a celebrity, that I feel like they're kind of interchangeable now anyway. Like, the line is kind of blurred. But yeah, I think everyone needs to be aware that these are real people who are, like, you can't aspire to be to do what they're doing just for the money. That's what I think. Like, you have to do it, whatever you're doing, I feel like you need to do it because you're passionate about it. Because when you go into something with just money in mind, I feel like you're not going to try hard with what you're doing. You're just going to do whatever, like, do some work that is not good quality, and then you're going to want money out of that. And you're not, like, if you're chasing something materialistic, then you're never going to be satisfied, because you can always have more of it, or it can be taken away from you so easily.
It's not fulfilling.
But if you're chasing a passion, then you'll be fulfilled because that's something that you really love. And obviously, if you're getting money out of it, then that's great.
Yeah, it's like that quote, make your passion your profession. Don't you guys? What do you guys think of that quote? Make your passion your profession.
I think there's so many platforms for you to be successful nowadays. Before it was be a lawyer, be a doctor, be an engineer. And now there are so many different platforms for you to be successful in what makes you happy. So I don't see why you necessarily have to follow what's traditional. I think that's where the saying comes from. You no longer have to just do what's practical, because you can do what makes you happy and be successful at the same time. I know someone who did some random digital media course at uni, and then she got a job working for a massive company in Dubai, and she designs the windows in, like, in one of the Dubai malls. And that's what she loves. She loves designing. She loves, like, putting clothing on mannequins and things like that. But she's made it into an actual profession. They fly her to places like Kuwait, and she goes on holidays all the time. She took a random degree, something so random that you wouldn't even think about, because that was her passion. And she's made a career for herself where she's earning enough money to make her, like, she's earning decent money, which makes her happy. She's able to provide for her family and everything. And she's doing something that she enjoys. So that's why I completely agree with the saying, because it's so easily accessible. So much is easily accessible. There are online courses you can do to become makeup artists for, like, weddings and things like that. So if that's your passion, then why not? I know at weddings people are paying £1,000 to get one person's makeup done. So to make that if your passion is doing makeup, that's a profession.
I guess that could relate to celebrities. I mean, they become famous because they're doing something that they love and they presenting it and they're displaying it. But I
It
want
makes
to,
you respect a person.
yeah, it makes you respect a person. But at the same time, I also think, do we have a social responsibility in how we respond to celebrities? For example, as we said, we neglect the aspects that we don't see. So if someone's going through mental health problems and they respond and they do something outlandish, we're quick to jump on them, but we don't see them as a human being. So in that sense, do you think celebrity culture is a two-way thing, as us the people that receive it and them as the people that display it?
I think there's no basis to ever judge someone based on what they like, based on something that they do. So when celebrities do something that's really out there, I've never said anything. I've never like commented on someone's post before, but I've read comments and they can get really nasty. There's no personal attachment between the commenter and the person who did the thing, but they feel like there is one, like it's an attack on them. So they feel the need to make a comment. There's no need. There never is a need, especially for Muslims. There's no need to make a comment on someone else's life, which is why I think it's so dangerous to post your life, because there are so many people who watch everything you do after that. Then if you do step out of line one time or you do something out of character because you're going through something, it's not understood.
Yeah. But then, isn't it, as Muslims, we should be responsible in the way we talk to each other. We're supposed to be responsible the way we talk to each other in real life. So why is that not applied on social media? Surely it's the same thing, right? Communication.
I think because it's not acted upon in real life. Like nowadays, when I look at younger people and the way they speak to each other, it's not very Islamic. It's not the way that we were brought up with, taught to respect each other no matter what, and, you know, show love to your brothers and your sisters in Islam. And I don't see that generally when I go outside. Like you see people calling each other names just as a joke. Like I know obviously everyone does it, but it gets to an extent where the names are just ridiculous. Like the way that it could be seen as bullying, but because you're friends, it's not. So I feel like that's why when they take to social media, it's no different. They're talking to someone who they don't know, and it can get even worse because of that.
That's true. What's your thoughts, Amina?
Yeah, I think the reason that they get so much backlash for literally whatever they do, because if you go on a random celebrity's Instagram account and just close your eyes and then click on any picture, if you go through the comments, there'd be just so much just hate for no reason. At the same time, they'll have like a lot of supporters, which is nice to see, but yeah, there's just a lot of people that don't like them. I think it's because of the fact that there's no, like Zara said, there's like no emotional attachment between them, but because their life is so their life is just shown to the entire world, everyone who knows that celebrity feels like they know exactly who they are and that they have a right to say these things, even though they shouldn't feel like that, because you don't really know that celebrity or that influencer, whoever they are. You don't really know them. You just know like a small percentage of their life. Like, you know what they do as a living and whatever personality they choose to show you. Like, that may not even be a real personality.
That's true. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think I feel like sometimes I think, imagine if there was no paparazzi and social media or any kind of gossip channels. I feel like there would be a bit more respect for everyone, including like our friends or actors and singers. Like, they're still well known because that's their job, like they're in movies and stuff. But imagine if there wasn't any, like, imagine we didn't know anything about their lives.
Their lives to be,
I feel like it would just be so much like there would be less craziness.
Like if you walked into a bank and you saw the CEO of the bank, you'd be like, wow. It'd be like that. It wouldn't be, you wouldn't feel like you have an insight into their life. You know everything that's going on, whatever they've been through, if they've been through a divorce, or if they had like an incident. And so there is the lack of respect because you know what's going on in their life.
Exactly.
But if you didn't know anything, you'd just look up to them as someone who's in a superior position.
Yeah. And I also feel like you would still see them as a normal person.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, what do you guys think? Because they're still going to be a celebrity, right? But if they're their life isn't shown to you, then
I think it dehumanizes them because their life is put on show. So
it's
that's
like
where,
it's like a zoo. Like
Yeah.
you know exactly. Like there's some celebrities that are going through like relationship problems, like crazy relationship problems, and the whole world knows about it. Like imagine if we were going through that and everyone knew about it, but you don't even know these people. I feel like that's just crazy.
I don't even like it when my friends know my business. Like, obviously you have the close friends, but people in a group, when you're
like
in a
that
massive
kind
group,
of
when
intimate.
when they know things about my life, I kind of feel a bit like vulnerable.
Yeah,
Now, imagine people you don't even know your what's going on in your life.
That's like a lot to carry on your shoulders. But yeah, our show is actually coming to an end.
It was a really interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you for everyone that commented in today. It was really interesting to hear your thoughts. Thank you to Zara and Amina and everyone that tuned in. And this is a very crazy opportunity to host for the first time. I hope I did well, guys. Forgive me if I made any mistakes.
I think Mariam did a really good job. One day Zara
she
can
didn't
do
say my
it.
name right, guys.
Mariam did a good job. It's because I haven't seen Zara in ages and you're hosting, so yeah.
It's all a bit topsy-turvy.
It's nice to be here. I miss this so much. I'm gonna have to come back. It's just
Yeah, we
like
missed you.
I literally finished school and then ran here.
That is
Aw.
what you guys call commitment. So
Tune in next week on Tuesday.
at 6
If we're
p.m.
live, but inshallah we will be live next week every Tuesday
Inshallah.
6 p.m.
on Inspire 105.5 FM. Assalamu alaikum.
The messenger of God, peace be upon him, said, "Listen carefully. There is a lump of flesh in the body. If it is set right and made good, the entire body becomes good and healthy. But if it becomes diseased, the entire body becomes diseased. Remember well, it is the heart."
Narrated by Nu'man ibn Bashir in the collections of Bukhari and Muslim.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.